For today's tabletop testing, we're going to be taking a look at the new Ceruledge EX. We're building the decklist entirely around its first attack, the Abyssal Flames, which does for 1 fire energy 30 damage plus 20 more for each energy in our discard pile. Getting 10 in the discard pile allows us to KO some basic V and EXs, getting up to 13 and we're KOing VSTAR Pokemon, and we can get 15 plus energy in the discard pile with the 19 that we're playing in the 60, so that we can be KOing even stage 2 EXs. And honestly, it doesn't actually take that long at all. We have Squawkabilly EX, we have Radiant Greninja, we're constantly going to be using Professor's Research or Carmine, as well as Pokestop in the list, and we even have the Earthen Vessel to help thin the deck. Brilliant Blender is also the A-spec of choice right now. It's a great way for us to just get lots of energy in the discard pile if we see it early enough. But even in late game stages, this can be a really helpful card to thin dead cards so that we can have some Iono proofing. Ceruledge EX is of course a terrestrial Pokemon, so there is a Briar in the deck list, giving us a little bit more license to take a single prize knockout in the opening stages, which is quite important because we're often going to be prioritizing Professor's Research over Boss in the opening turns. But we also have the Iron Bundle in the deck list to try and force that 2-prize map as much as possible. I am weaving in the 1/1 line of Regidrago VSTAR. The Legacy Star is just another way that we can mill even more energy, but at the same time it can get some vital resources back, which is really helpful in a deck list that loves to yeet its hand turn by turn. It also means that our one-off supporters like Iono and Briar can be recovered even if we've discarded them early, to use at the opportune moment. And because we are going so aggressive digging with our deck, I am incorporating the Pidgeot V into the deck, so there's nothing holding us back from getting to the bottom of the deck as quickly as possible. This is just one way to play Ceruledge EX, and I'm going to talk about a few other options towards the end of the video, but for now, let's get into some games. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code, OmniPoke. So getting into this first game then, Jack is going to be playing Dragapult, Dusknoir on the right, and I'm going to be playing the Ceruledge EX on the left. I do benefit from 1 mulligan, and I start with a Charcadet, whereas Jack starts with a Duskull, and he's shaking his head. Maybe his hand's not so great. He does have an Ultra Ball. Looks like I see some rare candy pieces right now. He's going to be throwing away, was that Sinnoh and a Duskull? Yeah, those are going to be the discards here. Does he have much to work with? No, it's going to be a Rotom V. And that's going to be a very slow opener for Jack by the looks of things, which is kind of a window of opportunity for us as the Ceruledge EX deck. We can't really capitalize with pressure, but just knowing that we don't have to fear a Dragapult too much is really good news. Jack is going to bench a Radiant Alakazam and then just draw 3 with his Rotom V. And I'm going to weave in a Nest Ball, grabbing another Charcadet. Looks like I have more search available with this Ultra Ball here. Going to get rid of a Briar and a Professor's Research. This deck list does utilize that Regidrago VSTAR, so there is the possibility to bring back some of these supporters later, as well as, you know, digging 7 cards deeper into the deck. It's a dual purpose VSTAR power here. And we're going to research away just 1 energy so far. 1 Ceruledge EX as well hits the discard pile. We can Earthen Vessel, starting to get some more energy flowing before we use Squawkabilly here, which is the idea. We need to ramp up a lot of energy if we want to reach into some stage 2s. I can Ultra Ball the 2 fire that I just searched to grab a Regidrago V before using Squawkabilly here. Pretty nice opener, all things considered. Yeah, we're going to get rid of a second Ceruledge EX, which is a little bit troubling, but we do have those night stretchers. Once again, we're going to do the Vessel Dance, discard a fire, grab 2 more. And we are going to swing an energy onto the active, and then just hit for 10, why not, onto the Duskull. And we're going to start looking at how many energy are already in this card pile. I think it was 7 so far. We do 30 base plus 20 more. So, really, if we want to reach up into that Dragapult, we need to have 15 energy in the discard pile. So it's going to be a long way away. Let's see what Jack has access to. Well, he does have Dusknoir. Oh, can he do... Oh my goodness, he can do a really cheeky play. Dusknoir pop the bench Charcadet. Does he have... Yeah, he has Luminion in hand, so he can Crispin here. And he can actually take out both of my Charcadet from a pretty bad opener. Here is the Crispin, dealing with both of my single prizes. Very cool line. I have 6 cards in my hand. So this Alakazam can get into the mix. Yeah, there you go. He's going to take 2 prizes. Didn't really expect that from Jack's board. It's still kind of weak, but he knows there's not much coming back his way, so why not? What can I do now? Well, I can research by the looks of things. Going to throw down some other basics. There goes another Ceruledge EX. All of them in the discard pile now, so resource-wise, we're going to have to look towards those stretchers to get them back. I am able to find Nestball Charcadet, so that's at least something. We're going to evolve into a Regidrago VSTAR, and we do have access to Jet Energy here as well as our turn attachment. I am going to go into the Pidgeot V, the idea being that I can then tank and go back to the bottom of the deck next turn rather than giving up a prize or giving Jack meaningful damage to use with his Dragapult later. So that's a cheeky play. That's not the main reason why Pidgeot's in here, but it's serving its purpose. The main idea is that we go so low into the deck, especially with that Regidrago VSTAR, that we can make checkmate scenarios with Drago, with Pidgeot denying us deck out. So that's kind of the idea. Jack's going to finally Arven out some Dreepy. He's going to go for 3 here with the Poffin into Arven. And he's also going to swing an energy onto a Dreep. He's going to put a rescue board somewhere, is he? No, he's just going to draw 3 more on his Rotom and pass things over to me. We have the Brilliant Blender, so we can get rid of some more pieces here. There aren't many energy remaining in my deck, to be honest with you. I'm having a look through at what our weakest cards are. And I think it's actually, the weakest cards at this point are probably the Ball Search cards, because all of my Ceruledge are in the discard pile. So you can see me eyeing up Ultra Balls to discard here. Normally the Blender's best earlier on in the game, but in this case you can still use it to thin the deck so that we have just good odds of hitting what we want from our next draw supporter, which is going to be, in this case, the Carmine, I believe, that's in hand. I'm even going to get rid of Radiant Greninja because we're so low on energy at this point, which is quite funny. We now have 13 energy in the discard, and we also have Pidgeot. Then the Carmine gets us to 14, so I can retreat now to 15 energy, which will be our grand total. I miss the Night Stretcher, so I'm forced to Pokestop here, which is a little bit ugly, but it means I can get the Ceruledge EX developed, and I can use another Night Stretcher to get the fire. So I didn't hit the last fire in my deck either, so resource-wise, I'm really on a knife edge here. Bear in mind, the Regidrago VSTAR can still be used just for the resource recovery, not just for having power spikes with the likes of Boss or Briar. So, as you can see, lots of our energy in the bin now, but we can take our first prize card at last and start to try and mount this comeback. The good news is that we can boast those really easy KOs onto Dragapult. As you can see, I'm just laying out these energies now as best I can, whereas Jack is vesseling for a couple fire. And is then going to Arven. He can get Candy established as well as probably Crystal here, unless he needs Vessel. Forest. Yeah, it is going to be Crystal. So we'll be getting back into a Pult here pretty nicely. He is able to rescue board the Tatsu and is going to get a quick switch in. And is going to see some more cards. Picks up an Arven for a future turn, which is not bad. Looks like we're going to see an attachment to a benched Dreepy here. Definitely thinking about it. It's going to be a quick Pokestop. Does find Ultra Ball. Was that a piece that was missing? He already has the Dragapult in hand. Is he looking just for Drakloak, just so he can sit on a better hand size, perhaps? He's going to Ultra Ball away, Fire, and Iono to get that Drakloak developed. He is just a couple attacks away from winning if he can get creative with his damage, right? We are going to see a quick Drakloak. I think sees more supporters, which he really doesn't need right now. But you're always filtering closer to stuff you do need, which is nice. We are going to see the Crystal on the bench. The energy to the active, or sorry, to the Dragapult, which now becomes active. He's actually going to make the change to go this way around, spread his energies instead. And then he's going to swing, and he's going to put 6 onto Charcadet. We are going to Nestball out our Pidgeot V. So we're going to V-Star Power. We're going to pick up Ceruledge EX and Jet Energy. Getting rid of our last card in deck, which is the Vessel. We need to evolve up so Jack can't just pult through both of us. Then we're going to Pidgeot. And we're going to Boss's Orders up a Rotom V here. And we are just going to swing into the Rotom. Let's see what Jack can piece together now. There is a way that he can win if he can re-establish Alakazam and Gust a Squawkabilly. There's 200 on the active. He could use the 6 that he's placed on my bench Ceruledge to finish off the Ceruledge EX in the active position. Tatsu whiffs on a supporter. I think Jack's just doing it to thin before Dracloak and possibly Pokestop here. He's going to stop first. Does find that Night Stretcher, and I think that's the missing piece. We can see that Night Stretcher for Alakazam. Alakazam's going to... It's actually... I'm doing it wrong. It shouldn't be pinging off the active. It should be, yeah, taking off the bench to the active. So then he can Gust with Arven Countercatcher and can go back into that Dragapult and take a 4-prize swing turn. Very cool stuff. From a pretty weak start, getting the very cheeky Alakazam Dusknoir play was something I wasn't really expecting. I possibly could have searched out a third Charcadet rather than the Regidrago, but there you go, Jack sweeps a win. Getting into our second game then, Jack is now going to be on Terrapagos Dusknoir, and he starts with a Hoot Hoot, whereas I have a Pidgeot V. I'm going to draw for turn, and we're going to Ultra Ball away a couple of Fire Energy straight away, and we're grabbing good old Squawk. Then we're going to Vessel Fire for 2 more Fire. You know the drill at this point. We also have the Nest Ball. That's a really good opening hand for me. Can get the first Cadet down. And we have a bunch of Fire in hand. I am going to attach to the bench, and then we're just going to Squawk away more Fire Energy. We find another Cadet. So pretty good, all things considered. Starting to get our Quest of Fire discarded. Jack's going to start things off with that Buddy Buddy Puffin. Usually you look towards that Fan Rotom to get things rolling, and exactly what we're going to see here alongside the Duskull. And he's going to Fan Call out some extra Hoots, you'd imagine. I think I already saw some Noctowl in the hand, so that's going pretty well. Maybe Pidgey as well. No, not going to be the Pidge in this case. Just a couple Hoots and Noctowl. There we go. Pretty solid stuff. Guaranteeing those multiple dips into the deck next turn with Jewel Seeker. He's holding on to... I think Hisuian Heavy Ball might be his means towards a Terrapagos. Otherwise, he doesn't have much. I imagine he's looked through the prizes. Yep, it's going to be a pass. Holding off on Double Turbo Energy. Let's have a look. I can Ultra Ball even more energy away. Always a good thing. We should have an easier time of getting KOs here. Jack's not playing a build with Bouffalont, so we have a very easy task in terms of reaching those prizes. I can once again research away Briar. A card I probably want to get back with that Regidrago VSTAR. That's why we think it's a nice partnership with the deck, so you can have that sort of recovery. I think the alternative is just having some Water Energy and Palkia, so that you can have that like Radiant Greninja attack option. But when it's a 1-1 line and you already want to search out Charcadet anyway, you'd have to just find so much Ball Search to make that Palkia package work that the Regidrago can come in later on in the game and still be impactful. It's kind of the idea around why we're going this direction. Gonna see a quick Pokestop. Does get a Night Stretcher to hand. Discards a Cadet and a Fire in the process. And we're probably going to be swinging in with good old Ceruledge EX taking the first prize. But Jack has a lot of Noctowl available, 2 of them. As long as he can Hisuian for Terrapagos here. Oh, he actually picked up Nest Ball off the top, but does have Heavy. Picks up a Fez, but I think there was actually a Turtle in there, so his prizes are actually pretty important. He has the Prime in the prizes. I think he also prized Churro, which is a one-of. He can now fill his bench with the Turtle. Terrapagos EX coming in, which will unlock Jewel Seeker. He's shuffling up, which means he might be fezzing before anything else. Yep, he's going to see 3 cards. Nothing too helpful. The Poffin's okay to maybe help fill this bench for Terrapagos damage, but depends how Jack wants to go about this. He might want to take 2 on one of my easier to KO benched Pokemon and just ignore the Ceruledge for a turn, or if he wants to get creative with Dusknoir, he can. He's having a look through here. He is eyeing Rare Candy. So it looks like he is thinking about the Dusknoir here. Also Vitality Band. Interesting choice. Going to see the second Noctowl. Clearly he's got something lined up. It's going to be Countercatcher and a second Poffin. He's going to Countercatcher Pidgeot V. So that will be his route to his first easy 2 prizes with the help of these searching cards. He's also going to pop a Charcadet with Dusknoir. Goes into the Terrapagos, so I guess that was his switching out essentially. And he's going to start getting some extra basics down here. He's going to go for Pidgey Duskull. And then can go Hoot Hoot. And looks like another Duskull. Just Hoot. No, it is going to be Duskull. That means that with Double Turbo he can hit that 220. Yeah, I think the only curious choice was the Vit Band there. Maybe he was thinking he wanted to keep the bench open for something else. He's still going to commit the Vit Band. And he's going to swing into the Pidgeot. So Jack does take the first 2 prize KO. And also took out a bench Charcadet, don't forget. It does help me, though. It's put me back on even prizes. I have 10 energy in the discard pile, so I can already KO this Terrapagos. And then I swing with Iono, which is pretty nice. It's before Jack's been able to develop that Pidgeot. I get 4 cards and do find a Nest Ball, which is pretty nice. I can get Radiant Greninja. And then I can Blender as well here. Going to get rid of Regidrago VSTAR. I think I may have prized the V in this case. Looks like I'm getting rid of a Ceruledge as well. We're finding this Blender almost after we've done our main quest of getting rid of all these energy, but you can see how they're still useful. Just getting rid of bricks. Because our only real means of Iono proofing is the likes of Radiant Greninja. And, well, in this list, we're playing the Drago. But we are able to take the 2, go down to 2 remaining. Jack's forced off of the Area 0 8 bench, so has to get rid of a few basics in the process. And goes into a Duskull. Now Jack can, in theory, take 3 prizes this turn. With Dusknoir and Blood Moon Ursaluna, perhaps. He can Gust into the Squawkabilly. Let's see the 3 cards from Fez. Ooh, interesting. So he found Nest Ball and Night Stretcher. Jack's going to Night Stretcher back the Terrapagos. Pretty decent Fez, to be honest. That opens up Nest Ball for him now. It's going to be a quick Jewel Seeker, though, with Noctowl. That gets him Rare Candy for Dusknoir. He has Ultra Ball in hand, I think, as well. And another Night Stretcher. So then he can Night Stretch. That's going to get Dusknoir. I think he's piecing it together. Nest Ball for Blood Moon. Does he have Gust as well? Oh, the Iono was not kind to me whatsoever. There you go. Dusknoir takes out the bundle. I go down to 1 prize, but that allows the Blood Moon Ursaluna to attack for free. And Jack's able to squeeze out a nice double 3 prize turn, which is pretty good going off an Iono as well without Pidgeot. So getting into our final game then, Jack is going to be playing Raging Bolt. And I start things off with a Charcadet. Jack has the Sandy Shocks. And we're going to Earthen Vessel for a couple fire. This might be a slightly outdated Bolt. Most people move on to the Slitherwing now, but this was recorded a couple weeks back. This was actually before Caleb's win with Slitherwing. Just for some context as when we were doing these. Gonna see an Ultra Ball. I can get rid of more Fire Energy that I've just vesseled out for a second Cadet. And we have that Squawk once again. We throw away a Stretcher and a Ceruledge EX. And then we're going to Nest Ball out Radiant Greninja so that we can continue racing through the deck. Gonna get rid of a Fire Energy. And we are just going to attach a fire to Charcadet and pass things over. I actually think maybe I should have jet my Radiant Greninja into the active. I think my hand's kind of weak, so I was a little bit against that idea, that I really wanted to keep the draw available. But it does open the door for Jack to take a prize with Sandy Shocks here, which is a bit troubling. Because the Ceruledge deck isn't good at gusting around this. That's the problem. It's hard for me to construct a boss play when you need to so frequently research just to fuel your discard pile. Jack is immediately going to attach to the Sandy Shocks, and he's going to Nest Ball. Grabbing his own Squawkabilly hit. He does have a Pokemon catcher, but not going to flip it. Happy to go through this Charcadet. And he's going to Nest Ball again. I think there's actually an argument for him to chase the bench Charcadet there with the coin flip catcher, just so it's 20 less damage for me, in theory, if he's trying to avoid a Gust this turn. And, like, actually get the value of Sandy Shocks, but it's a really minor thing. Jack is able to Sada. And draw 3. Let's have a look. Does have access to more Ball Search, but I don't think many... Ooh, quick Trekking Shoe, picks up a Sada for next turn. Oh, he does have Vessel as well, so he can start getting Ogerpon into the mix. Still has his concealed cards available, so many more actions to go. Classic Raging Bolt things. He's going to conceal cards away a Grass, finds more Nest Ball, and he's going to play the 2. Picks up Ogre. Nope, he's going to switch things up to a Fez. Interesting. And then he's going to see one more card. It's just another energy. Is he going to spin the stop? No, he's just going to swing with Sandy Shocks for the first prize. I pick up the Ultra Ball, which is... Oh, I actually have the boss in hand. I am going to Greninja here. And I find Nest Ball now, so I might actually have a means of taking a Gust KO here. It's very, very difficult for Ceruledge to weave in KOs with Gust. That's the why we have the Briar in the deck. Because you're so often trying to research early just to ramp this damage. But we're getting 7 energy in the discard already. So that is 170 damage. So I might be able to KO the Ogerpon with the weakness anyway here. I'm actually just going to quickly Pokestop as we go. And that's 9 energy in the discard pile. So I can actually Gust the Fez thanks to the Pokestop. And yeah, we're going to take the first 2 prize KO. That's a pretty solid turn, to be fair. Jack can go back into Sandy Shocks. I think the idea is make me Gust again, I suppose, if he takes out the Charcadet. This turn does have the catcher. He's going to flip tails, but I think he has boss anyway. Yep, he can bring up the cadet, put me back on that same do you have it situation. And this deck only has the boss, right? So it means now that I have to take the 1 prize of Sandy Shock, then I'm looking to maybe Regidrago VSTAR for Briar to take the final 3 prizes. It's probably my only way to win a race here. Jack's going to get the second Raging Bolt developed. Goes down to 4 prize cards. I can re-establish the Cadet thanks to Night Stretcher. I do bench the Regidrago V, which is exactly what I need to do here. And debating what I want to do with this energy. Before I do anything, I'm going to blend. get rid of some pieces. Doing some quick math. Need to make sure I can get around a Bravery Charmed Bolt. Looks like I'm throwing away some excess Pokestops, as well as some energy. So Jack really needs to find Prime Catcher next turn, right? He has to deal with the benched Drago, or he has to flip heads. I'm going to get a quick Greninja draw in. I can find another Vessel. I'm going to get rid of Bundle. Not usable because Jack has the Greninja anyway that you just go into. So I'm going to thin the deck of a couple fire. Then I'm going to weave in the Pokestop, which does get me Ultra Ball for next turn, which is kind of spicy. Trying to work towards the Drago VSTAR Briar. That's the only way I win next turn. Can Jack disrupt that in any way? We see a Pokestop. A triple hit for him. He has so many ways to draw still. He has access to Vessel, which could be Greninja and Ogre draw. He's looking at Fez now as well from Night Stretcher. He does have a way to dig. Could be a couple of Grass Energy. There's potential Palpad plus Pokegear as well that I think he must be thinking about at this point. If he can work towards that pad. There's another Ogerpon plus Energy Retrieval. But he's just going to go for a Fez here. Sees 3 more cards. And there is the Palpad. So he has really good odds now of hitting that boss. I know he's got at least 1 gear in hand. He's going to do a count. Does he really need this Sada? No, he's just going to go for the boss. Yeah, I like this choice. Just give yourself that he can't miss moment. I think he has 8 cards in deck, which is why I was looking at the bottom card in deck. Something. We'll see. Oh, he has... Oh, the boss is the last card in the deck. Jack's going to take the Sada. Ah, but he was baiting me. He has a 2nd gear anyway. So he can gust my Regidrago, which should be the way for him to close the game. Because I can't win with 1 more attack with that final gust. He's also going to get the quick Ogerpon in. Because, yeah, my boss is already discarded. My V-Star was the only way to get another boss back. Oh, sorry, a Briar back was what I needed, right? To win here. So I think Jack should have the means to win. Do I have Iono even here to make life difficult for him? Let's have a look. I'm going to get rid of the Drago. But I really don't think I have much in the way of disruption at this point. There's me trying to V-Star off of Squawk, as you do. Worth a go. We're going to Greninja for a couple. I can research Pidgeot to the bottom. And do any of these cards help me? No, we're just going to take the prizes. And we just need to make sure that Jack has the goods. And we all know he does. He can Sada. And he's still got attachments. He's still got Ogre. He's got all sorts of ways to deal damage. Yeah, really nice end game there where he denied our use of the V-Star. The Regidrago is a really cool option. I do think it suits the deck. We saw it only used in one of the games, and it was still a game that we lost. But I do think it helps patch up one of the main issues of this archetype, which is our heavy reliance on those researchers and Carmines. The Regidrago gives us that option to actually recover some of those one-offs and get reuse out of them. So it's something I'm still a big fan of. Getting on to the other considerations then for Ceruledge, I do really like the Regidrago V-Star. I think it does have a lot of internal synergy, but there is another V-Star that we could try incorporating into the deck list, and that's actually Palkia V-Star. It would give us a nice single prize attacking option in Radiant Greninja, and give us more avenues to take 2 prize knockouts in the opening turns. The one issue with incorporating a thin Palkia line is that very often you need to prioritize your early ball search on not just Squawkabilly, not just Greninja, but also some Charcadet as well. So even though it does allow you to have those explosive Shuriken turns, it may come at the cost of overall setup. Of course, you could also try thinking about having Palpad plus Pokegears in the deck list to give yourself that little bit of recovery, and because the deck gets so thin towards the end, it's pretty likely that those gears are hitting even your one-off supporters. The next debate is the A-Spec. Now, we did get to use the Brilliant Blender in a lot of these situations, and it did indeed help with damage output. But because we don't have any search for this item card, it's really about when you draw it. And there could be some other high value A-specs that we can consider. This archetype loves to play Research and Carmine, so having a prime catcher in the decklist can give us some nice gust. And in fact, there's been a number of builds in Japan that go for coin flip catchers. We'd actually have to juggle a few more spaces to make that work, but it is an alternate option for the Ceruledge deck. We could also consider the Legacy Energy. Yes, it's another energy that can help out with our overall count, but it could certainly force a headache out of the opponent having to go through a single prize Ceruledge. The main reason I'm not going for Legacy right now is that we're already putting multiple other multi-prize Pokemon onto the bench, so it's not too difficult for the opponent to find a way around this. And because Lugia is still such a popular archetype, there's still a number of Temple of Sinnohs in the format regardless, so I feel like it's not a foolproof strategy. Overall, I think the simplicity of this archetype is going to be its main killer. Yes, we can ramp up our damage pretty quickly and pound through even high hit point Pokemon, but we are a really linear strategy that requires multiple prize attackers the entire game. And our opening turns are very reliant on research, so we can't easily weave in boss's orders to take those cheeky knockouts on bench-sitting multi-prizes. That being said, its simplicity is also one of its biggest strengths in that it gets into most games, and is pretty decent at forcing those 4-turn games. Let me know your thoughts on Ceruledge EX down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.